Marketing truths before and after the pandemic. Yes, it's a real thing. Things have changed with how we market our business, right? You've noticed this in your business if you're a business owner or if you're doing marketing for someone else in a corporate environment, a startup environment, or just in any environment. So there are truths that we need to accept with the changes that have happened before the pandemic, as well as during, and now that we're starting to roll out of it, what changes we need to be aware of with our marketing and our ideal customers in order to allow our businesses to continue to thrive through all of the changes. So, what I'm going to do over the next 7 weeks is talk about the 6 steps to the customer journey and how the different marketing truths fit into each of those different steps. So, you may be thinking, why is this important? It's important because, again, the marketing changes that have occurred after the pandemic, during the pandemic, and even how they've changed since before the pandemic is important for you to understand in order to make those changes in your business. Also, this is my lucky tea. It's St. Patrick's Day week, so I am celebrating and wanted to make sure I was sporting my green to show my support of my heritage. O'Neill, after all, is an Irish name. So let's go ahead and get started with the topic of this week's video, which is the marketing truths and the impact it has on your marketing and your business. Let's get to it. I was reading an article last week from the Harvard Business Review, and it was on the 10 marketing truths before and after the pandemic, which I will link to in the description below. Or if you're on my website, I'll include it in the article below, as well as all of the agenda topics and marketing truths I'll be talking about in the next 6 weeks. This is the 7th week. I'm doing the introduction and just kind of talking about what to expect over the next 6 weeks with the customer journey and the marketing truths. So if you want that information, go to my website. If you're watching this on YouTube, the link is below in the description. When I read this article, I was just floored by how there's such truth to the differences before and after the pandemic and how we all market our brands. And again, this relates back to whether you're in a corporate environment doing marketing for a corporate brand, you're in your own business, or you're thinking about starting your own business. This applies to everyone who's in marketing or is even putting themselves out there through content online or networking, or if you're in sales, this is important to you as well. Why? Because we're always marketing ourselves and we're always marketing our brands, right? Exactly. So I'm going to, in the next 6 weeks, go through each of the steps of the customer journey and incorporate the marketing truths from that article into how it impacts each of those steps in a customer's journey. Now, of course, because I mentioned this on almost every one of my videos, that first step is going to be defining your ideal customers. So we'll talk about that next week. I'll then go into the define. So define is the first one, and then know, like, trust, buy, and then retain. Because if you're going to go through all this time and effort to acquire new customers, you of course want to save your money in trying to find all new ones to replace those that you've already spent money on to acquire, right? I know it sounds confusing. But we all know it costs less to keep customers than it does to find new customers. So keeping retention in mind when you're marketing initially is really important, and I don't think a lot of marketers keep that in mind. So that's why I've included it in the 6 steps of my customer journey and why it's important for the marketing along the way. Now, I did get my start in a corporate environment and doing marketing for a big company that was local but still had national presence in the United States. I then evolved through different jobs and different companies. I went on to get my degree while I was at that company. I went on to sales roles. I went on to startup companies, small companies that wanted to expand their brands into the area that I lived in, different scenarios. And then that ultimately led me to where I am today with my business and starting my business. Now, Ken K Marketing, my business, did start in 2011. It started as a side project type company that I was like, hey, this might be something I actually want to do longer term. So I went ahead and established it as an LLC, and the side projects that people were bringing to me, I went ahead and fulfilled them and had a network of people that I worked with, and a different group now that I continue to work with. but had people that I could reach out to and collaborate with on logo designs and brochure designs and all of the branding and website design and digital footprint design and creation with like social media and looking at different needs that companies had. It was something I realized I had a passion for. And through the different jobs, I realized that this is something I eventually want to do, working in my own business full time at some point in my life. So I'd set a goal that I wanted to start working in my business full time in 2016. And in 2016, I was working in a sales job. It was a individual contributor type position. And I had landed the biggest sale of the company had had. And of course, there was a big commission and bonus associated with it, but I had to wait until a certain time frame to get paid on that. So it actually went into 2016. And of course, that energized me to keep going. So I ended up, the company went through an acquisition. I ended up going to be an inside sales manager for a different company, big company. And then I ended up getting laid off in March of 2018. So 3 years ago this month. And so timing was actually really good to be let go from that job. And that led me to, well, the signs I was having that led up to that as well is what actually ultimately led me to saying, you know what, now's the time. If I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? And it was something that just constantly was in the back of my mind of wanting to do anyway. So I went ahead and decided that I was going to go full in 100% on my business in March of 2018, and I haven't turned back since. But as we all know, as entrepreneurs, founders, business owners, your business, your life goes through a roller coaster, right? You start off and you're super excited and things are going well, and then it takes a dip, and then it goes up again, and then it takes a dip, and it's that constant roller coaster of emotions and just the craziness and chaos that goes along with everything that happens in starting a business and trying to grow a business. Now, I went through those same changes, including pivoting a little bit from starting out in March of 2018 as a marketing and sales alignment company. I then decided to pivot and focus on my passion, which is ultimately marketing. I love helping companies. I love that creative process of figuring out what the problem areas are and really honing in on how can we fix that problem and help you achieve the business goals that you've established and make that process easier and better connect you with your ideal customers and help them stay with you longer. And I love that process. So knowing that that was my passion and things weren't working out the way that I had planned with the marketing and sales alignment process, I decided to do this instead. So I'm 100% focused on marketing, focusing on the customer journey, creating the experiences. How can you leverage emotional triggers to connect with your ideal customers once you have them defined, of course, and help them navigate that journey at their pace when they're ready, and just provide the information that they need along that process to help them get that micro yes to continue to the next step in their journey with you. So that has led me to this point of creating this. I've done the 6-week series before of the focusing on each step of the customer journey. In fact, I will link to it here. It was actually one of my first live stream series that I did here on YouTube almost a year ago. It was actually April of 2020. That brings me to wanting to focus on this. And when I was reading that article last week from the Harvard Business Review, or HBR, it just really struck a chord with me in the truths with marketing before and after the pandemic. And once I go through each one of these, each of the next 6 weeks, so this is week 7, where I'm starting off and just introducing it, you will see the differences between those. And then I will share with you how you can really embrace those changes after the pandemic and how those can fit into each step of the customer journey. Again, the customer journey is define, know, like, trust, buy, and retain. So I will talk about that. Why this is important now is because there's a lot of change that's happened with marketing and technology. And you've probably realized it with your business, either with the competition or just your customers, where they're spending time. If they were in their car listening to podcasts previously now, and this could be you, you could have decided to start your own podcast. So now you're not listening to other people's podcasts. You might be watching videos and creating your own podcast and creating a lot more content on your own. The point to that is understanding who your ideal customers are, where they spend time, and what's really going to resonate with them. So I will be going through that process and starting off with personas. So incorporating each of those marketing truths into that. Now you'll notice from that article that there are 10 marketing truths. And I mentioned I will only be doing 7 weeks, including this one, but I'm not introducing the first one until next week. So yes, I will have double the marketing truths in some of those weeks and how they fit into the customer journey. So you will get a ton of value and joining me on this video journey over the next 7 weeks, again, including this one. And so I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell notification so that you are notified when new videos are uploaded every week. I'm excited about going through this series, not one just because of the journey I know that we're all going through, again, regardless of your position, but our marketing goes through these journeys as well. It's what your marketing looked like before the pandemic or even a year, 2 years ago is going to be much different than it is today and what it's going to look like 6 months or 12 months down the road. So knowing that ahead of time and preparing for it so that you can make sure that you're staying connected to your ideal customers and delivering the value when and where they are is going to really be critical to the success and long-term success of your company. So that's the reason why I wanted to review those, because it really struck a chord with me in how well they really pinpointed truths before and after. And I just wanted to elaborate on that and take it even farther to help you with how you can incorporate those into your business. So I do hope you'll join me on this journey, and I hope to see you in the comments in the future with any videos. And of course, if you have any comments or questions now, please do leave those below. If you're on my website, you can also leave a comment or just contact me directly through the link that takes you to all my contact information. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited about this journey in these next 6 weeks. I do hope that you join me. And until next time, make today great.